Exactly. Janice, thank you so much.
Nice to see you.
All right, Democrats in Congress quick to promote ideas like legalizing pot, wealth redistribution, and other things. But when you look closer, those same members of Congress don't live up to their own teachings. So why don't many Democrats, politicians in general, but we're going to focus here on some Democrats, why don't they practice what they preach? Joining me now is author of How Do I Tax Thee and contributor for The Hill, Kristen Tate. Kristen, thanks for coming on this morning. We're going to start with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because she's one of the loudest voices right now and one of the most hypocritical. One of our producers caught up with her. They keep finding her at airports after releasing the Green New Deal and wanting to get rid of airplanes because of all the carbon emissions. Listen to this.
Can you tell me why you were flying today?
Oh, yeah, because I needed to go to work.
All right, and then what is the difference between you taking a flight and a train, though?
Excuse me, sir.
A couple hours of my constituents' time.
That's just New York to D.C. Everybody takes that train. She takes the plane. How do you do this?
Well, unfortunately, this kind of hypocrisy is very common on the left. I mean, Democrats display hypocrisy on nearly every issue. They tell middle America that we must impose AOC's $90 trillion new Green Deal while they themselves enjoy lifestyles that lead them to burn tons of coal. They oppose the execution of criminals who have been convicted of committing heinous crimes, yet have no problem killing babies who have survived late-term abortions. They rail about the greedy 1%ers, yet many progressive leaders like Liz Warren are worth millions of dollars, and they say that they're champions of the public school systems while sending their own kids to these expensive elite private schools like Sidwell Friends, where Obama and many politicians send their kids. I mean, the list goes on and on, Rob. We could sit here all day.
And just to go back to AOC, we've also have a lot of evidence of her using a car in New York City instead of the subway, living in a building, a luxury building in Washington, D.C., when she's pushing for the end of gentrification. She doesn't live in a building that allows for low-income residents. There's a lot of examples there. Let's go to the second one here we have, which is a number of Democrats who are doing pretty well financially, advocating for the redistribution of wealth. Bernie Sanders, if we look at a list here, at $2 million. Elizabeth Warren at about $4 million, a lot more if you add the husbands in here for Pelosi and for Elizabeth Warren. Going back to Sanders, a socialist who owns 3 homes. Now, in a socialist society, how many people get to have 3 houses?
No, I know, it's crazy. And the analysts who say regularly that working class Americans have a hatred for the so-called elites, I think they're a little bit misguided. What drives working class Americans crazy is not the wealth and success of others like Bernie Sanders. It's the condescending lectures and the hypocrisy of what these left-wing leaders say compared with how they actually lead their lives. This kind of politically correct agenda of the left seems like, you know, basically lip service to mask their actual privilege. Obama lectured us a couple years ago about, you know, you've made too much money. Those are his actual words. But today he collects hundreds of thousands of dollars for short speeches and millions of dollars for book deals. And again, Americans don't have a problem with his lucrative post-presidential deals. It's the fact that he's never subject to the ramifications of his own kind of redistributionist ideology.
And for the further left socialists, you're only supposed to take from society, I guess, what you need. I don't think Bernie Sanders needs 3 homes. I don't know about anybody else.
Exactly.
Let's talk about Kamala Harris here. As the DA in San Francisco, she put a lot of people in jail for smoking pot. Now that marijuana is cool and popular, here she is.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay.
And I inhale. I did inhale. It was a long time ago. But yes.
Now it's cool. Let's legalize it for everybody. What do you think?
This is just a clear, flagrant attempt by Kamala Harris to try to make herself seem cool and like one of the people. People see right through this stuff. The voters know what's going on. And again, I really want to highlight the fact that the left's problem isn't really elitism itself, but it's the left's habit of lecturing middle America on their shortcomings while basically exempting themselves. So we'll see how this all works out in 2020, but I think the voters see what's going on.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's a lot easier when a lot of the media is already on your side. Kristen, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rob.
All right.
It is just about 40.